Real Talk the podcast. We just keeping it real. Inspirational, motivation. It's something that you can feel. Authentic, I know you can tell. Hosted by Kimberly Sherrill. We got food for thought. Come help yourself. One of a kind like nobody else. Yeah, wanna see you mentally grow in a major way. Play this back like day to day. See all that stress and doubt, just watch it fade away. There is nothing you cannot achieve. Good vibes, yeah, we got that. Kimberly, go ahead and talk to him. It's the Real Talk podcast. Let's go.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Real Talk the podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Sherrill. I thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope your day is lovely and much brighter when this is all over. So I have with me today in the guest chair, Ms. Monique A.J. Smith. Hello, Monique.
Hi, Kimberly.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's wonderful. Tell the listeners who Monique A.J. Smith is.
Monique A.J. Smith is a leadership strategist for athletic departments, sports organizations, and individuals who wish to advance in athletic administration, sports business, and the marketplace.
Awesome. So tell us, where are you from?
I am from Waverly, Virginia. It's 20 minutes south of Petersburg and 45 minutes from Richmond, Virginia. But I currently reside in Hampton, Virginia.
Okay, great. So sports management is not something you typically expect to see a woman in the field. How did you end up in sports management? Was that part of like something growing up? People in your family were very into sports, or how did that come about?
Well, both of my parents are educators. And so in middle school, my father was assistant principal. My mother was a librarian in the same school. I want you to mind you, I'm walking the halls and both my parents are in the same school with me. And so their coworker was the head basketball coach. And he said, I want your daughter to be our scorekeeper. And my father was like, nah, she's not riding those buses with them boys. She's not doing it. She says, Winston, because they're co-workers. He says, I got her. She's going to sit in the front seat and I'm going to protect her. That was Coach Joyner in Whaley Junior High School. He always say, I'm the reason for your career. My neighbors were two boys, Terrell King and Lloyd King. He says he's the reason for my career. So I started out in the 8th grade keeping scores, and I've been keeping scores ever since. And so because I had that background, I didn't just keep scores. I went to practice. I would analyze, what people were doing with their shots and those kind of things. So I majored in public relations at Hampton University, which was not a major. It was just one class, but did not know that. And the first internship I took, the winter of my sophomore year was public relations for the CIAA. And so because I had a background in keeping scores, I was the only woman, and there were 3 guys. So it was 4 interns, and I was only female then. And what we did, we picked the players of the week. We inputted everybody's stats for the week. I went in on a Sunday. And then from the CIAA internship, I became a sports information student assistant at Hampton University, my junior and my senior year. And from there, I became the first female full-time sports information director at St. Paul's College for the CIAA. In 92, I was named SID of the year. And then in 96, I was named interim athletic director at 28 years old. So, and now I'm 52. So in between 28 and 52, I've been compliance director for a Division I institution. And I spent 13 years with the CIAA. And when I left, I was associate chief of staff for the CIAA.
Okay, and for the listeners who may not be familiar, what is the CIAA?
Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association. It's a Division II historical Black college um, athletic conference, very similar to the ACC. It's a member of the NCAA, and we housed, I think, 20 some championships, including the third largest basketball tournament in the country back when I worked there in the 2000s.
Okay. So this all came about because in the eighth grade, one of your parents' coworkers decided he wanted you to keep score. So prior to that, had you shown interest in sports? Like what made him decide that you were the perfect person to keep score?
Well, usually when you have somebody keep score, it's to be honest, like it's someone who does not have an aspiration in sports because you want them to be paying attention to what they're doing. And so I had all A's, and I was a pretty good student. They wanted to, have someone that could balance both. But it just so happens that this is the reason why I love teaching at Hampton University. I teach psychosociology of sport. I fell in love with team and sport younger. I mean, I watched the World Series in the sixth grade. Is sports brings family together. But my cousin was Thorpe on the TV show The White Shadow, and I would watch the show. And the show was about a white coach coaching a whole team of black young boys in California. And the storyline was about sports, but it also talked about other social things that were going on and how the team began to bond and how they saw the coach as the father figure. And they attacked several issues like most TV shows do. And I just love that camaraderie. My neighbors, like I said, were two brothers and they only were a year apart. And I was part of the group, but I wasn't taught how to play the game. And that's one reason why I'm so big about women in sports now. Again, we're talking about the early 70s, and Tower 9 had just crossed um, the line, and they were putting women in coaching positions. There were secretaries, but no one actually taught the girls how to love the game. It was a fear of being called a tomboy. And so the whole social part about sports is one reason why I'm on the bandwagon of introducing sports to girls so early. When I became athletic director, I began to have weekend camps for volleyball because that was a sport that many of our schools didn't even have back in the 90s. I want them to experience where sports could take them. So I've always been a leader. I was SGA president. Whenever there's an issue, I always try to figure out how to attack it. So it really was because I was already a leader and I was a good student. My father was an assistant principal, so he had to be there for the games anyway. So I was always there with my father as he stood there as games were being played.
Wow, that's awesome. And I was thinking as you were speaking about how I may have been a little bit more interested in sports had I, encountered someone like you during an earlier age. I have an older brother who was very athletic, and I went to all the games, and I was thinking I was at all of the games. I could have kept the score, you know, that type of thing. But that's awesome because you keeping score has given you a career of longevity, whereas people don't necessarily think about how those things can really transition. And all of those boys who were playing basketball, I'm sure most of them career in athletics did not go as long as yours.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. You're absolutely right. And when I got my master's in '94, I started grad school in '90, and there was only two schools in Virginia that were having sports management, and everybody in the class were athletic trainers, and I was the only black woman. And it's funny you say longevity because I came to sports from a PR standpoint. but I end up being an administrator of being a coach of the coaches, providing resources for them to be successful, providing great experience for student athletes. Well, it's interesting because that was something that people were trying to learn how to teach. You follow what I'm saying? Because it was a new thing. And so now, we got undergrad degree, we got a master's, we got PhD in sports management. And so I'm coming up as if figuring out what should and how should we train people. And I'm telling kids now, if you in sports, you can take your love of this. You can go in analytics, you can go in compliance, you can go into marketing, you can go into facilities. There are so many pieces of this puzzle that you can make a niche for it. But my niche is to help women to be able to excel in it because as you've heard, we've been around a long time, but how do we expose them? So that's why my podcast, I call it a chat in the garden with Monique AJ Smith, where significance blooms in athletics and sports, because I want people to know there are Black women out here, and I've been doing this for 6 years now, and every week. So you just calculate that 6 to how many weeks of Black women that are in this business that are making significant impact. So,
Wow. Love it. I love it. All about the empowerment of women. I love it. So your consulting business is Seeds of Empowerment. Tell us, when did you start this business and exactly what the Seeds of Empowerment do?
well, that's pretty interesting. When I was with the CIAA, we began having retreats to help to kind of give some skills and some camaraderie together. And the women that we began to have retreats with began to soar. I mean, it really was trying to show the women on campuses and giving them recognition so that the campuses were to turn around and recognize the leaders they had on their campus. So I would put women on championships committees because I was over championships for the CIAA, and I'll put them on other NCAA committees. And so they began, when I tell you, they rose to director of athletics. So it came to the point, like I got 6 in my hand right now who are current sitting athletic directors. They came from the programming that we created with the CIAA. And Virginia State, North Carolina Central, Mississippi Valley, Winston-Salem State. Those are just long standing. We have, like, just this summer, we've had 6 women. Virginia Union, our athletic director, came from the training that we did. So other people began to ask, can you come speak to our conference of women athletic administrators? So I began to earn some extra money on the side, and my tax preparer said, okay, you got to say you're a consultant because you're making too much money. And so when I began to do that on my taxes, the city of Hampton says, you owe us some taxes. So I created Seeds of Empowerment in 2005. I was doing Title IX training for different conferences and just began speaking. And in 2013, when I left the CIAA, I just took it full time. And nationally, I provide professional development opportunities in the form of staff retreats on campuses, um, uh, doing student athlete leadership work. And then I work with individuals one on one in the form of a master class and one on ones. And then I help individuals who want to learn how to monetize their specialized knowledge in the form of a speakers bureau. So that's how I branch out full time because I was already doing it. I was already known for that.
That's great. And many individuals have successful businesses that started out truly as something they just did on the side to make extra money. And your business, Seeds of Empowerment, has been recognized as one of the 50 businesses to watch by B.O.S. Network, correct?
Yes. Shout out to Kamika Smith.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So you're also part of an anthology, Removing the Face.
Yes. I was blessed to join this group. It was about remedy for pain and prescription for change. And my chapter, I concentrated on something that I went through by being the first. And I wanted other women to understand that, embarking upon any type of leadership role that causes you to be a public figure, you have to be very cautious. Like I say, when you become one of the first, you automatically become a public figure. But just because you're automatically known for something does not mean that your moves and your thoughts have to be automatic. And if you are conscious of that, you're self-aware that you need to make manual decisions, not auto decisions, you will prevent yourself from hitting a wall. And in my story, I talk about myself hitting a wall, literally and figuratively, because I wasn't guiding my ship. Because you're the first, you have this sense of I have a lot of responsibilities. People are watching me, and everything you do is based on what others think, not what is your authentic move. And so it kind of propelled me into, again, creating those retreats for other women. I began to go to counseling, and the counselor said, you need to be around other women like you. And because I was a first, I didn't have any other women like me. And so I created a resource for other people, which really turned out to be something that was assisting me. And in my story, I talk about my journey in athletic administration and how to prevent others who are embarking upon this to be aware of their thought process. The growth, being growth mindset set versus being a fixed mindset. We've always done it this way. Well, if you're going to be one of the first, you're going to be hitting some barriers, and you got to be able to be equipped to get hit with some stuff and to keep on going.
Awesome. So how do you deal with like what are some things you do to help you cope with the pressure that is bestowed upon you for being one of the first women in this field?
Well, almost every client I go with, before I even talk about skills, I talk about mindset. And my first question to them is, what are the 5 things that guide your decisions? And for me, I got a couple of guiding principles that if an opportunity comes for me, is it aligned? And so I check my alignment. And for me, it is, what position will I be in to have the most influence? It's not about how much money I will make. It's also about how much, which opportunity will allow me to control more time. And I began to, when you're from a small town, you know, I've been in a public figure role all my life because my parents were school teachers in a small town. And a small town, that's big. You can't do anything. I mean, you can't be like a regular kid. So it's always about imagery. And so I'm not saying I have let that go by the wayside, but I always say I'm going to seek significance versus success. And if I need to make a new trend, which is what I've always done, then there are going to be naysayers that may not understand, but it's my job to educate, to influence. And if I don't influence them, then 100%, if I get 2 people that are with me, then uh, I know I'm doing okay. So it's all about mindset. If I hit a wall, I create a door of opportunity.
That is a great way to look at things, and I can definitely relate to you about the small town. I grew up in a very small town. The school system, there was just one of each thing, one elementary, one high, one middle. And my granddad either taught their parents or their grandparents, or they worked at the plant where my father worked, or they worked with my mom in the other plant. So, and my dad was city council. So public eye is something I can relate to. And so I'm a firm believer pressure either makes it makes diamonds or it will make you crumble. And clearly the pressure that was bestowed upon you turned you into a diamond.
Thank you so much.
That is awesome. Okay, so I would like to transition to what is sort of like the hot seat. There are some questions that I'm going to ask you. You just give the listeners your honest, real answer right off the top of your head.
Okay.
So tell the listeners, what is a book that you have read that you found to be very enlightening or educational?
Well, I use the 4 agreements with all of my clients. And my former any colleague that has come through me ends up repeating the 4 agreements whenever they hit like I said, hit a wall. And it's all in how you look at it. If you look at that wall like a wall, and you look at it like a door. And the 4 agreements are don't take it personal, always do your best, never make assumptions, and be impeccable with your word. If you concentrate on one of those when you get hit by a wall, or then you can be able to change your perspective and be able to soar.
Okay, and who is the author of that book?
Now, why would you ask me that?
The listeners may want to look it up for themselves.
Okay, look, if you type in the 4 agreements, you are going to find it everywhere. It's not hitting me straight off the top of the head. This is one of the fire things, right? I'm looking and see if I can find a book on my. Oh,
Okay, well,
oh,
they'll look it up. They will look it up. Okay, so my next question, and it does not require all of I'm not going to ask you for an author name. So if you could
okay.
choose one person to be your business bestie, celebrity wise, some corporate CEO that you may be aware of, you could choose one person to be your business bestie, who would you choose and why?
My business bestie. I guess my mindset right now is on Michelle Obama. Um, and she doesn't even know it, to be honest with you. Because I don't have children. However, her mindset, I just finished watching The Becoming on Netflix, and she talked about being married and how you can't expect your partner to make you happy. And so many things that she did when she met him was like, I got to get myself together because otherwise he will swallow me up. And going to Harvard again, everybody's like, how would you leave that? Why would you step out on your own? And I just like how she has, whatever experiences she's had, she's made that a niche. When she was a mother and dealing with her children, eating, and the doctor said, they're obese, or borderline obese. And she's like, but they're children. So she had changed the eating habits. So when she could become first lady, the level of influence, she begins to teach people how to garden better, and then talking about kids need to move. you know, um, I just like her authentic way of leading based on her experiences. And truly, she takes her mess and make it a message.
Yes, 100%. She's definitely a great person to have as a business bestie. And I like how you said that she just doesn't know it. I agree. Me and Beyonce are besties. She just doesn't know it.
But I actually did meet her though. She came to the CIAA in 2012, and I was the number 2 person in the conference office, and I got a chance to shake her hand and hug her, and stand there. And while she was talking to the presidents, my bosses for the CIAA are all 12 presidents, and I posted in my Facebook page. I said I'm having my Michelle Obama moment.
Wow. Wow, that is truly an experience for the books. That is awesome. So she really is your bestie. You've met her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I
Okay,
did.
so next question. Tell the listeners a training, webinar, or conference that you last attended that you found to be very beneficial.
Well, you really don't know what you don't know. And so this entrepreneur thing, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm an educator turned into an entrepreneur. So I've had to learn how to sell. I always knew how to promote, but how to sell. And I have been um, engrossed with Lamar Tyler's traffic, sales, and profit. Um, and I think it was, I don't even know what it was, a challenge or something. And I've been really, okay, everybody else has been stressed out with this pandemic. Girl, I have been learning and growing and just taking it all in. And so, yeah, I think it was last month. It was like 5 days or something intense of showing you how to grow your business and how to gain traffic. So I might have known, and I teach marketing, but I teach marketing how to do ticket sales for season tickets for a football game. You know, how to do that for myself has been quite interesting, and it allows and enhances what I'm teaching my students. And so, knowing how to sell, how to draw the traffic to you, how to listen to your tribe to create the product that they need. So
Okay.
that's been fun.
That's
It's been
great.
fun.
That is great. So you did say that this entrepreneurial thing is something new and you're learning. But when you are starting a business or working to scale your business, people love to give unsolicited advice. Everyone has some advice for you. So my question is, what is some of the best and worst unsolicited advice you have received?
Hmm. In the area of business,
In the
correct?
area of business or just in the area of your career?
Oh, okay. Well, this one is one that happened to me when I was in high school. And people don't know, people only can talk to you from their experiences. So you can't put them on the firing squad. You just have to understand where they're coming from. But I'll never forget it. It was my senior year, and she was saying, when you go to college, you're going to get a husband. And I said, what? Look, she's a school teacher. And I'm going to get her like, are you crazy? So honestly, sweetheart, I really, the area of advice, I would rather you, if you wrote a book, I'll read the book and I'll learn, I'll get information from it. But individuals, your life becomes your advice. I really, advice coming out a person's mouth, it has really a grain of salt because I'm going to really interpret it and filter it and to see. And if you living the life that you say, then I may follow you and see. And then if I ask you a question, then it's like, okay. Because honestly, like I tell everybody else, even my students, chew on what is nourishing for you. The rest of it, spit it out. So I'm not one of those uh that pay attention to because honestly, even some of the things I learned, I'm gonna do it my way. Because I had one to tell me to change my name of my podcast and my group to have the word athletics in it. And I just wouldn't do it. Now I did stick a tagline at the end, a chat in the garden with Monique A.J. Smith, where athletics and sports. I put the athletic sports at the end. But I knew that what I was trying to do was grow leaders. So if my tagline for my business is called Planting Seeds of Empowerment to lead others to greatness, all right, that and then I add garden to it. In the sports world, when you say garden, the first thing you think about is the Boston Garden. You think about that's where historical games have been played. So when I say meet me in the garden, my tribe knows what I'm talking about. It's just like in the Bible when they say when the shepherd speaks, their sheep will know that that's what they're calling. So just because somebody is not in your niche, you got to be able to take it and figure out what fits for you. Because somebody else ain't not walking in your shoes cannot tell you exactly what it is in your heart and soul. And I've been able to grow this up to 1,600 people inside my podcast. Okay. And so I even had somebody recently tell me that my podcast on Blog Talk Radio wasn't a real podcast. And I said, well, I'm sorry you say that, but it's been working for me. I've been able to get sponsorships. I've been having receptions. I mean, I can actually create a document that people can go back and click on it and listen to it. So I mean, this whole part about not being my property. Well, if it ain't my property, I'm sure getting some money off of the property. I'm written it pretty good.
I agree. And you definitely have to filter the advice and some of the critiques because everyone can only look through their lenses. They can't look through yours.
So I go seek what I need. You know what I'm saying? I say, I need to do this now. I'm going to go seek that. And I usually seek their book first before I hear them talk.
Okay. That gives you an idea of their credibility.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, Miss Monique A.J. Smith, tell the listeners where they can find more information on you, if you're on social media, your website, and definitely let them know where they can pick up the anthology, Removing the Face, so that they can definitely delve into your chapter.
Well, I have a site where you can go get my book with my name on the front. It's called publicfiguremass.com. So publicfiguremass.com is how you can learn about my athletic administrative journey and how it led to my entrepreneurship. And I like to meet people through LinkedIn. And so you find me Monique A.J. Smith. Again, Monique A.J. Smith. And my programming that I have, we can discuss it from there. My website is called Seeds of Empowerment.info. You can get all that information about my university workshops that I do, my advanced academy, and my speaking bureau. So.
Awesome. Well, Monique, I definitely want to thank you for joining me today and being on Real Talk, the podcast. Do you have any final remarks before we close out the show?
I did forget to say how you listen to my podcast. You can go to chatinthegarden.com to go listen to my podcast. Again, it's African American women athletic administrators every week. We talk about their career path, their advice for others, and their current initiatives. So come join us.
Great. All right, listeners. So make sure that you look up Monique A.J. Smith on LinkedIn and that you visit her website, to pick up Public Figure Mask, and definitely join her on her podcast that is out weekly, correct?
Yes, that's
all
correct.
right. Well, Ms. Monique, thank you so much. And to all of you beautiful listeners out there, I just want to say thank you again for joining me. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with me, and you are truly appreciated. I hope that everyone is having a beautiful day. And remember to always keep it real. Thank you.
Real Talk, the podcast. We just keeping it real. Inspirational, motivation. It's something that you can feel. Authentic, I know you can tell. Hosted by Kimberly Sherrill. We got food for thought. Come help yourself. One of a kind like nobody else. Yeah, wanna see you mentally grow in a major way. Play this back like day to day. See all that stress and doubt, just watch it fade away. There is nothing you cannot achieve. Good vibes, yeah, we got that. Kimberly, go ahead and talk to him. It's the Real Talk Podcast. Let's go.